We watched Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, a movie with no books, no shadows, and no witch. We are in defense of bad movies. Hey everybody, Sam here with another In Defense of Bad Movies episode. I'm here, as always, with Lauren.
Hi.
Laura.
Hey.
Bobby.
Hey.
And special guest defender, you've heard him twice before if you're a regular listener, Ronnie Roberts.
Actually, only once before.
No, twice. Remember you took Jingle All the Way as well.
Oh, yes. The crossover episode.
You're tied with Jesse for most appearances on the show.
Right on. Now, today, I'm excited.
And you brought this wonderful movie to our attention, Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. A movie that is a sequel to Blair Witch, but they decided in the title, we're going to mention that later.
I'm kind of excited about this because I've always liked this movie and I had no idea it was so poorly received.
It is very poorly received.
That fucking astounds me.
I mean, I've always just thought it was like a fine,
it's like you're not an emotionally intelligent adult.
Or you've never seen a movie review of this particular movie.
Like the last movie you saw was that one where the train is coming at the camera and you thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, that was scary.
Exactly, and that's why this movie is scary.
Do you think it's a scary movie, Ronnie?
The Book of Shadows?
Yeah.
I don't know that I would say it's scary, but it's unnerving.
Okay.
Well, it's definitely a psychological thriller, I would say.
Okay. Before we get into it, before we start talking details, let's go to Laura with her... How much time do you want to give her, guys? I don't say that at all as a way of stalling to get my phone out to plug in the numbers.
7 minutes.
Usually do it in increments of seconds.
And you don't get to read the synopsis off the back of the DVD case, Laura.
Nice try.
That was incredibly succinct.
That's fine. There's way too much racism on the back of that box anyways.
Have you been writing on the back of the wall? Okay, I'm going to give you 20 seconds. Starting now.
So this movie is supposed to be a sequel to the first movie. The only time that it really references the first movie is within the first 2 minutes of the movie, where they have clips of newscasters talking about the first movie, and then it's just basically some people who go to the forest where Blair Witch takes place.
That was exactly what the movie.
You got very close to most of the plot.
That's true. It wasn't just spouting opinion like you often do.
I got told I can't do that anymore, so
save it for the rest of the podcast.
I have to give succinct synopsis.
Can I say how exciting it is that the top billing on this movie, by the way, is MTV's Kurt Loder.
Who opens the film. And
if you go on IMDb, he is the most popular person.
Yep.
Yeah.
And on that note, it's astounding that this wasn't a made-for-MTV movie.
It really does feel like
it. Basically was, I feel like.
Yeah.
That's interesting that you should say that.
But, I mean, there's otherwise, they have other talking heads starting it with, like, newscasts of, like, the phenomenon since the film of Blair Witch came out. But how do you start with him? Like, throw him in third or fourth is like, this is hitting all facets of culture. But he's, like, number one, and we return to him.
It's a mission statement.
I feel like it was it's a movie of its time. Like, they were definitely aiming at the MTV generation. And MTV News was like where most cool kids got their news from, because Kurt Loder would come interrupt your occasional... that was even when we still had music videos playing now and again.
Personally, also, I would have preferred it had been Tabitha Soren, but I think...
Yeah, also I've never understood Kurt Loder. Like, why is this a thing?
What? No way.
I never had MTV, so all these people are
Also, music videos were not playing on MTV in the year 2000.
Sometimes, like that morning.
Occasionally, yeah. I used to record them on my VHS so I could...
Now we're dating ourselves. And the fact that we know who Kurt Loder is also...
Hey, Ronnie, can you tell us why you like this movie?
I've always wished I could date myself, actually. Why did I like this movie? It's it's a good psychological movie. The movie messes with your head throughout the entire thing. I feel like
I agree. So far, I agree.
Yeah, it messes with your head to realize, like, can you believe that this shithole of a movie was made? No, I just think that this, it's a psychological movie because you wonder, like, did this movie actually get made? This stinking title?
Careful. Oh, you're getting real close. You're getting real close to a competitor podcast. That is not who we are.
Just don't ask how it happened.
I feel like it's a good movie. The characters aren't that interesting, but the psychological mind games.
The characters do not matter at all. You can just watch the movie and the characters don't matter. It's just.
Can I say that Jeffrey Donovan, who plays Jeffrey something or other,
is the living embodiment of the year 2000.
I think he's actually a great actor, and he's the only actor in this movie I thought was great, except for Lanny Flattery, who played Sheriff Craven, boy.
This was real.
He was such a good, solid character.
See,
there is no Blair Witch.
If the movie went on to be everything is an illusion and all of this was inside Jeffrey's crazy head, like he had a relapse following his release from the mental hospital, I would believe that. Like everything that happened with the sheriff made no sense. And he himself was a preposterous caricature. Everything in town was off and like dated in period and like
that
a callback
really
to the 40s.
Weird.
Like there's such and I don't think the movie was clever enough to be going for this, but it felt as if everything should have been a hallucination.
Well, you're leaving out the most mind-boggling detail. It's that this entire movie is a reenactment of true events that happened in the wake of the Blair Witch program, which is the most fucking bonkers thing I've ever seen.
What? It starts,
The text at the beginning of the movie says the following is a reenactment of the events, the true events immediately following the release of the Blair Witch Project.
Wait, really?
Oh. Yes.
It's your favorite movie and you don't know
the very first thing to appear on screen is that.
Even before Kurt Loder.
Alright, I'm going to say some bigwig executive made him put that in. Because I respect this director.
I absolutely agree with you.
Which implies if it's a reenactment, the producers of the documentary fictional piece know that they have a different idea of what happened than what is shown on the video footage. They have too much information is what I'm saying. If this is a reenactment, they have a lot of information about what was going on in the characters' heads.
That's true, because it leaves it out at the end. It does very much suggest that these people are innocent of what they did. And that the Blair Witch...
Or at least somewhat influenced by external things that, they didn't really murder these people. There was like a...
Spoiler alert, jeez.
But we're assuming everyone has seen this movie.
Of course, obviously.
Can we back up and talk about the beginning and how outrageous that the beginning is?
Did the beginning feel like the movie was going to be a comedy?
Yes, it did.
Wait,
the first time we saw Burn Notice, I was like, okay, he's too Bostonite to be believed.
When they were doing the documentary type footage before it gets into the actual meat of the story.
Oh, yeah.
And if it had sort of been that kind of movie, like... even more tongue-in-cheek and slightly documentarian, like that would have been cool. And
except
makes more
horrible.
Sense for them not to abandon everything that was interesting about the first movie.
It starts off like a documentary about like the town and they're interviewing people, and then it shows Jeffrey Donovan's character, Jeffrey, whatever.
Everyone's character was named after themselves.
Yeah, like the first one.
Well, that was like the first movie.
That's true.
And then you see, like, there's no transition. You just see Jeffrey Donovan's character, Jeffrey, in the mental institution. That looks like it's just some fake scene that's like a play within the movie.
You mean doctors don't smoke?
Yeah, because and then sticking some...
We jump cut to some psycho, like montage of scenes in the mental hospital. And the time thing frustrated me.
Yeah.
There was like timestamps that were regularly repeated. Like there was a first August 99, and then like at the end they did August 99 again, and then they like timestamped the mental hospital, and then they timestamped like twice in November. It was very...
I think in the very beginning, because I rewatched it. So it didn't say it at first, and then it said 1 year earlier, but then it says 1996. I'm like, but where does that fall into the now and the 1 year earlier? It was very unclear.
It was weird because you were supposed to believe that he was crazy at one point, but a year later he was fine. He was like totally normal.
No. It's so I feel like they were doing that so that they were building up the unreliable narrator. So,
potentially, there are ways to do that without showing all that.
And again, it moves into like the stylized, like you're saying, the unrealistic depiction of a mental hospital. Like what we were seeing was crazy, and makes me feel like, oh, the film is the unreliable narrator because this does not exist in reality, and so this is already some sort of crazy dream state.
Like the sheriff doesn't exist, you know, the way
also, the fake sheriff talks to him like, you always been a punk, you're always going to be a punk, you always been a problem. He was in a mental institute. Like, either talk more nicely to him or realize that, like, no, we need to get the facilities in here. Like,
it's a very small town. They frown upon that kind of stuff.
That's true. The way we treat mental illness in this country is disgusting.
Yeah. Well, mental illness was confused with witchcraft back in the day, and this town is not very far from that, I feel.
That's interesting. But the movie's not smart enough to have made that connection.
I disagree.
No credit.
This movie is 10 out of 10. I would watch it every day forever. All right, I feel like I should go on record and say, if I saw this movie on Netflix today, I would say, that was a pretty good movie. 4 out of 5 stars. So, I mean, I'm not saying this is like Oscar-worthy movie. It is a enjoyable movie. I don't know why people hate it so much.
Oh, well, let's go into why we
please do.
First off,
can we talk about all the characters?
Yes,
and how
that was exactly where we were going to go. All the unlikable characters that after the awkward mental hospital scene, we all jump to our band of ensemble freaks.
Yeah.
So Jeffrey Dahmer is running a tour of the Blair Witch Woods / camp out / research trip / weirdos
out of his shoddy van.
Yeah.
Looks like it's on his last legs.
It's the first time he's doing it.
Wait, there was a van?
First time.
I thought they all just... Never mind, I was going to make a joke about camouflage, but...
Because it's camo painted.
Yeah, it's okay.
You couldn't even see that. You thought it was just like Wonder Woman.
I'm just going to this is going to be...
Why are there all these shots of just scenery moving down the road? I don't understand.
Yeah, that would have been better than where I was going. It was going to be too long of a journey, so...
And on this tour is all 20-something people who have never met before, but immediately feel like they know each other well.
Oh, yeah. It's jumping on backs, and
Well, you have to understand, like, after the night they had together, like, they have bonded.
No, this was
immediately
before.
in the van. As
were they jumping on backs before? I don't think they were.
Just the way they talk to each other.
They jump on backs when they get to the campsite, but before they've gone through their ordeal.
So you have your couple who are, like,
the
hoity-toity
research fellows. They're like doing the
they're doing a
history on the woods,
and you think that they're going to actually be the smart ones in it.
They're not.
No, there are no smart ones in this.
And then in the back, there's the witch who is very comfortable with all of you.
Wait, did you know that she was? I feel like they underplayed her being a Wiccan.
She was a Wiccan.
Every time you
mentioned it.
Wait, that feels like sarcasm, Ronnie. Which side are you on?
I mean, okay, they really were pushing the whole Wiccan thing.
Oh yeah.
Which is it's surprising. I feel like
trees.
All right, I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a second. In that I'm going to take the opposite
for Wiccan rights,
the opposite stance of what I'm here for, but this movie was obviously made for teenagers who are obviously going to be familiar with Wiccans, but still they felt like they had to really shoehorn it in so that you knew that she was a Wiccan, although all the kids are like, why are they... yeah, I get it. She's a Wiccan.
And then they had Goth Girl, too. So you had...
I feel like she was really interesting.
I wanted her to be interesting because she was Goth Girl.
But
she was also slightly psychic. And
that was interesting.
Bitch.
Growing up, I had a thing for goth chicks, so I was...
So that's why you like the movie?
I thought her character was great.
Why did she have to be slightly psychic? Because she knew a little bit in the beginning of the movie, and then for the rest of the movie, she had no clue what was happening.
No, she said a few things here and there.
Like
she would
once
slip
or twice.
some stuff.
It would have been nice. They could have played up the psychic thing and have a thing where she was like, oh, I'm getting weird things here whenever the Blair Witch, whatever. And
yeah, but like they never came in an interesting way. It was expositionally like, oh, you're pregnant, huh?
Yeah.
And like, guys, I feel weird right now.
How did you know?
Well, the original cut of the movie, there was a 30-minute like breakdown scene where she comes out as being pregnant, and they were like, "It's just too long. We'll make her psychic, and then we'll get it out in half a sentence."
Why did she even have to be pregnant? It was such a minor thing. It wasn't even
so that you can have that scene early on where she's drowning the baby,
or something like
and then she sees the blood.
I feel dumb that I didn't know that was a dream sequence immediately because the movie's so terrible that like
I
don't know
don't.
what's real
blame. I don't fault you for that at all.
And then, so like my reaction was like, "What the fuck's happening?"
They don't clue you. Yeah.
There's a lot of dumb red herrings that are unnecessary. Like when the redheads, the witch, when they mention she
There's a witch,
the Wicca.
Is that what you mean by red herrings? Dumb red herrings.
That's what you call her vagina.
Yeah, she lied about her parents, but that really didn't come into play in any way.
Sense. We never had a daughter. Why did they never have a daughter?
Like, who cares?
Were we to believe that Erica was an embodiment of the Blair Witch? I didn't think that she was, but yeah, that's a thing that happened.
I think it was just to throw what's it called? Like you're like, oh, she's the one behind all this, but it just didn't work.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
You're right. I completely forgot that was the thing that happened, and that makes no sense. Unless we're thinking that the Blair Witch can reach out through phone lines and affect the secretary at the church.
Ooh. And
much the way that she, controlled their minds to make them think they weren't murdering these people, also controlled that secretary's mind to think, daughter, what are you talking about?
You're right. I take back my objection. That's what it is.
No.
Wait,
Again,
what secretary?
A clever idea when they confirmed that, Erica's churchy dad they were calling to, and it was something like, oh, he's not here. He doesn't have a daughter. What are you talking? Oh. Yeah, again, that's an interesting idea. The movie did not have that in its mind at all.
They were planning several sequels to this.
And are finally succeeding.
Is the new one a sequel?
I don't know anything about the new one, actually.
Is it? Okay. Yeah.
Did you know that so the goth chick, she actually plays a character on Orange is the New Black.
What?
Diane Voss.
Which one's Diane? Oh, is that... Okay, so
and you probably recognize her.
Alex?
No.
I don't see anyone related to Alex.
What?
We're now
trying to figure out who she is on Orange is the New Black.
Welcome to In Defense of Orange.
I've never seen the show.
Yeah, no one else has seen it aside from...
Hold on. We have to stop everything while we figure out...
Well, no, this will tell you where you recognize her from. She also played a character on the Geico Caveman television show.
With Nick Kroll?
Yeah.
And... Sam Huntington?
One day we might have to do a special thing of In Defense of Bad TV shows.
What? Don't do this to me.
That was a good TV show.
No way, that's impossible.
That was a really funny TV show.
I had really funny people on it for sure.
She's Alex's mom on Orange is the New Black.
It was
Okay,
promising.
So
it was never great, but it was promising.
That's strange. And remember how Alex's mom was slightly psychic.
Any hoodle.
Not in a useful way, but just in a sweetie, you look good in glasses.
Mm-hmm. All right, gang. Let's get back to the movie.
Okay. So they go into the woods.
And while they're out in the woods, I think it's Wiccan Witch girl says she's talking about the first movie, and she goes, 2 guys and a girl in a tent and no sex, or she says something like that. And if you took that scene out of context and showed it to someone who didn't know this movie would exist, they would absolutely think it was from a Blair Witch porn parody. There was absolutely no...
The Bone Witch.
Yeah.
My favorite line of hers is when somebody was asking her something about witches, and she said something. She says, "We still have to eat shit and die like the rest of you. We just look good doing it."
The way that Wiccans never look stupid.
I feel like that was a really good line. I immediately started doing research into being a Wiccan because, damn it, I want to look good doing it also.
That's true.
Definitely makes
we
sense.
have her gratuitous and nude scenes later too.
Oh, it's just
to fulfill any.
I'm not entirely convinced that was her because I think that was a body double. Because later on, I mean,
her character is supposed to.
Right.
If it's her body double?
To be fair, I honestly that has always kind of confused me as to why they had the scene with her. Like she walks around with obviously her hair. Tied to her nipples or whatever, but then you're
wearing panties. So
but then in that one shot you have her just totally nude, but it's kind of an ugly shot. You can't really see anything. It struck me it would have made more sense. I don't know, in just the background of how a movie gets made if she was in the same outfit dancing around the tree.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. It didn't feel actually gratuitous because later on they weren't showing her breasts so much.
I think it was
much to my dismay.
The fact that she was walking around without clothes on aside from her underwear, and not that it showed anything, but just the fact that was in there at all just felt like it was.
Well, they were all nude going up to murder the people.
Yeah, it was certainly in the context of the movie gratuitous. I get that it goes into the
that too was gratuitous.
Sure, it's the imagery of the Black Sabbath, and they're all giving themselves unto the devil and stripped down and naked, which gotta be so cold. So, like, I'll give them that much.
I know, you're warmed by the devil.
Oh, okay, that's a good point. And, it's so bad. And so, they all get really drunk and gross, like, hanging out at the remains of, like, the murder cabin. Mm-hmm. And then they black out so they don't realize that they had the Black Sabbath in the middle of the night. I shouldn't say it like that, Black Mass or something. Saying Black Sabbath is suggestive.
Yeah, Ozzy Osbourne showed up.
Yeah, they had a Red concert.
They ate the head off the bat and then went to murder some Asian stereotypes. The other rival team that is... Oh gosh, they're so terrible. Like, when the other rival camp group shows up and they're like, oh, we're going to defraud these guys. Like, yeah, we saw some ghosts over there at Coffin Rock. Yeah, you should go over there. They bought it. They're not out of earshot, but let's just, like, woo, we're so good.
Yeah, they were already drunk.
They're some idiots.
They were.
And Bobo Scott Thompson has no problem with his pregnant girlfriend drinking when she's pregnant. He's like,
Bobo?
Bobo, poor man's Scott Thompson.
I don't even know. Who the hell's Scott Thompson?
Scott Thompson is the gay member of Kids in the Hall. And straight-laced, uptight researcher guy is total his uninteresting younger brother.
Who brought all of his research with them on a camping trip?
Oh my god!
Which is a tour, but it's also a research camping trip where you can bring all this crap for some reason.
Yeah,
giving way to the best dialogue in the movie. We backed it all up on the computer. The computer just had notes. You know that.
That makes no sense, stupid boy.
He prefers his notes handwritten.
Was that the Book of Shadows, what they were working on?
They were really afraid of Y2K.
I'm not going to let this Book of Shadows thing go, because there was no Book of Shadows in the movie.
Yeah.
What?
There's nothing that makes any kind of sense with that. And then this is the point where supernatural things start happening, and they're real lackadaisical about it for a real long time. Like, they wake up with the trees raining the really small bits of the paper.
Clearly shredded.
Finely, minutely shredded bits of the paper are just raining continually from the trees after we see in a flashback later that they're just, like, ripping it up haphazardly.
Yeah.
But, like, it's, oh man, all the research, not like, what the fuck is happening?
It's because they all
feel like I'm in, a horrible witch nightmare.
They all have bigger problems. They're all nursing crushing hangovers. And they just know that tomorrow they're going to grieve, but right now, just give them some goddamn Midol.
Okay, alright. But they only feel, like, slightly put out by, like, what? How'd the tapes get over here? Oh man, who destroyed all these cameras? We gotta get to the bottom of this, y'all. Like, no one feels fundamentally disturbed yet. And this is just the beginning, but even as it goes on and more things start happening, it's like, what? That's weird.
Yeah, there's still a lot of arguing over petty things.
Yeah.
Like
how?
Like, give me some caffeine. What? Oh, I get it. I'm a woman, so I have to get you caffeine. You were just possessed and you lost 5 hours of your life. There are bigger concerns here, guys.
Weird marks on our body. That's weird. Ew.
Oh, and no, I think this is just a bruise. It is clearly written in some sort of rune
image on your body.
It's like they were branded with runes, and now I think I stumbled and hit something.
There's 5 hours missing from the middle of the video. That sucks. Oh. Erica, how could you not remember doing that? None of us remember doing that, but we're so annoyed at you. Like, it takes a long time for the urgency and the fear of death to come in.
Yeah.
I am having a hard time defending a lot of these things. But as a whole, it's a well done, like, they sprinkle in the confusion everywhere so you don't know what's real and what isn't. And
that's true.
I see what you're saying. There are a lot of naysayers who come up and say nay. That was another good line from the movie, by the way, that Jeff said.
Wait, he said that?
Yeah. I'd write that.
All right, can we talk about how he has the coolest house in existence?
That was a pretty cool house. It was a dump.
It was a complete dump inside. It's like a cool house that's been taken over by a boy who also steals things. It could
have totally been.
Okay, to be fair, that's a real job. My uncle does the eBay stock exchange.
Yeah, we were watching that with Ronnie the other day, and he turned. My uncle actually does it. This is legitimate.
True. You buy low, sell high. He does it. It's a lot of work, but he makes a living doing it.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. So this movie has a grounding in truth. Okay, this is what they were talking about.
Speaking of grounding in truth, I often know that when detectives when they are pretty sure that somebody did a crime, the first thing they do is call them up and say, "Hey, we know you did this crime. By the way, I'm on TV. Look at me right now."
Well, yeah,
which is something that happens in the movie.
If you're Sheriff Craven, of course you do. That man has no subtlety whatsoever.
Sheriff Craven is the word for coward. So maybe he's just afraid to go up to this guy's house and do anything.
That has to be creepy. And that bridge looks very unstable.
Yeah, there's a bridge to get to it.
That man, in every way, he is so offensive to me. Just
the sheriff.
Craven?
Yeah, the way he looks, he's got like pock marks in his face. He's just so gross.
Oh, his face has a lot of character.
Which is why he can't be real, because he does things that no sheriff would do, and he does not even look like a real person. He looks like a weirdo Scooby-Doo caricature.
They are all personalities inside of the head of someone who's going insane.
And that I would buy if that's what the movie came down to. Like, it was just Jeffrey Donovan replaying it in his head in the mental hospital, like, trapped and just sort of reliving things and changing it to his own
That would have been better.
Crazy recall.
All right.
In a reenactment for TV.
Yeah, exactly.
Sheriff Craven, boy!
Yeah, he kind of looks like he's gummy. You know, his face is gummy, and like he's just
silly putty.
like he's just claymation, and the way he moves, it kind of just looks like someone's like a puppet master.
No,
that's exactly what happened. Lauren will get into it later during trivia. But
now they tried to do the creepy motion with like some of the ghosts and things, like the little girl ghost on the bridge who doesn't really come into play
by hitting rewind.
But it looks so bad. It looks like a TV.
Yeah, we're talking about that.
Reenactment.
And if the movie was more clever, there are a couple moments like that, like just the really poor special effects on the ghost, and then also the weird jump cuts they do to the murder scene throughout, like from the very beginning of the movie. They're just weird quick jump cuts to like murder and stabbing and like all that sort of feel like horrible reenactments.
Every single set feels like it's out of a CW, like a W. Sorry, not the CW. It's the year 2000, a WB show. Like they're so cheap,
but
they're unbelievably
but
cheap.
But if they took that even farther, then that's a choice. That's a point. But again, the movie's not smart enough to do that.
And plus, they undercut it because when I think of those reenactments, it's always like on a sci-fi channel. It's cheap TV. It's not movies because movies are
then match.
Yeah, because movies are based on actual events. They don't say this is a reenactment of that. Yeah. And you don't show tits on TV, so just showing the breasts undercuts that whole reenactment thing.
Well, again, I don't think that's what they were going for. But it would make the movie better.
All right, can we at least acknowledge what obviously happened was right before Blair Witch came out, they were like, guys, I think we're sitting on a gold mine. We need to put out a sequel immediately.
Oh, I don't think it was even right before. I think it was right after.
Yeah, it could have even been like
even less time to prepare.
Opening weekend. They were like, oh my god, people want to see this movie. Make something immediately. Here, you're a director. Go direct something.
Absolutely.
Then why wouldn't you do something the same thing rather than do this half-assed?
That had to have been way more expensive than Blair Witch.
God, my dog just farted.
Which the audio audience can absolutely appreciate.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, it took you that long? Yeah. It's been bad.
We have to acknowledge so the audience knows why we're all crying.
Yeah, and if you hear panting, that is also the dog.
And me.
And so, just pulled from IMDb trivia, so we know how accurate it is that the Artisan Entertainment did want to make the sequel super fast, but the producers, Haxon Films, were real uncomfortable with making the sequel that quickly, and they wanted to wait a little while, like they should, to let the hype diminish and to actually produce something that might be cohesive or interesting.
Yeah,
then Artisan wanted to just jump on it as fast as possible.
That makes sense to me. How do you not just send 3 kids out into the woods with a camcorder again?
Yeah.
And spend nothing on it. Less than $1 million, like $1 million, $2 million.
It was a very I think it may have started that way because the director they got before this had done strictly documentaries. Mm-hmm. So it seems to me like they probably were doing something like that, and then at some point they shoved a script into their hands.
It was before found footage was real popular, so maybe it was that was a flash in the pan. There's no way we can make that work again. Insanity, which is stupid.
And also, in fairness, if they are going to do this, you don't want to see the exact same thing.
Yeah,
they would have to come up with new gags and things like that. Mm-hmm.
But although Paranormal Activity has really made untrue.
Well, they actually do have one new cool thing in each movie, and then the rest of the movie is the same.
That is actually kind of a weird. Now that you mention it, in that this movie had a $15 million budget, and the Blair Witch had a $16,000 budget.
Right? Yeah.
And so I don't know the whole. It seems like they would have tried to do the exact same thing and been like, "Here's $100,000, go make a movie."
Yeah. You did it once, do it again. Yeah. So I guess the movie is they were trying to do a thing, because at one point, that one guy says to, I think, his wife or girlfriend, the pregnant lady, like, "You're the witch, man."
Tristan?
Yeah, Tristan. Like, "You're the witch, man," which made it seem like...
she had a miscarriage, though.
You're a witch, man.
Okay, but my point is that I think they were trying to do a thing suggesting, one of these people is the witch.
They certainly were trying.
But it never really felt to me like they even jumped into that. But maybe it has to do with your lack of, like you mentioned, the lack of urgency. I never felt like this thing like, we need to figure out which of us is the witch.
It took a real long time to get on that, and then the intent was unclear once they established that that's the road. It was just sloppy.
I kind of saw it as we, the audience, had more information than the characters did. So we knew what was happening, and we were watching them try and catch up to us.
See, I didn't even know about that.
The ending is what?
I was really enjoying your face. I want to try to capture a picture of it.
The ending is predicated on the audience not having enough information, though, right?
No, I feel like we all know what's happening.
We're either told that everything we've seen is bullshit, or we're told that maybe
videotape,
right? When we're not given that information.
No, I feel like we are given the information that we know what's happening, with the exception of the lost time. I feel like that was... No one knows about that, but I feel like at the end you know that the witch is obviously fucking with everybody, and they're kind of all held captive to whatever this creature's need to fuck with them is.
I agree with you on that. I actually felt like this whole which one of us is the witch thing, that was bullshit. I never felt genuine to me. It always felt like, this is some external force that is either possessing them or messing with their stuff.
Yeah. And then...
And Wiccan Chick is clearly the witch because she can do instant rigor mortis and weigh 2 pounds after she dies.
Well, she also melted at one point.
In her defense, she probably does weigh approximately 2 pounds. So, I mean,
and I think she was a Jedi, so that's why she melted. She did.
Yeah. Even though possibly she didn't.
Her clothes
when
were
she disappeared, her clothes were all strewn out, like organized, which we later see Jeffrey Donovan doing, and so it's unclear what really happened. Naked for some reason. Go ahead. Also, just for canonical bugaboos, the witch exhibiting behavior that was not established in the first movie. Like, this is not her style.
Well, there was no style established in the first movie.
She's just murderous.
The first movie, the entire style is just that we can't see anything, it's in the dark and it's scary.
But she never possessed anyone like she does in this movie. Or like it seems
there's arguments that she could have, like, causing people to murder, but like this is all very elaborate.
So Bobby and Laura saw the first Blair Witch for the first time that same night.
You guys haven't seen it at all?
It was okay. Yeah. I mean, you could tell that the movie was aged. Like, it didn't age very well because of all the advancements in filmmaking now. But it was interesting. Like, I can imagine seeing that back in, 1989, 2000. I feel
like the only thing that movie is missing from every other current found footage movie is there was no monster at any point that did, like, the extended jaw scene that is in every found footage.
I mean, I think it worked well that you didn't get to see the Blair Witch.
That's why I like it.
That's cool. Atmosphere. I mean, it takes a really long time to get there, and you have to, like, endure them just arguing with each other a lot.
And nostril shots.
Yeah.
I, after the first Blair Witch movie, I was like, oh, that's really interesting. It feels like a relic of its time. And then after we watched the second Blair Witch movie, I thought, oh my god, that is absolutely a relic of its time. Yeah. Like, if anyone was like, what was popular culture like in the year 2000, I would be like, just watch Blair Witch 2.
I can totally agree with that. Yeah. That everyone was dressed really cool. Everyone, the soundtrack was amazing.
The soundtrack is so 90s.
I wish I could say that I owned the soundtrack, but this was also during Napster times, so I had the soundtrack, but I didn't own it.
There was a CD and this DVD.
No. Oh my gosh,
really?
It does.
Yeah,
with the soundtrack listing.
Yeah.
Oh, son of a bitch, I've had it this whole time. That's fine, I had Napster.
I bet.
So this movie is so old that the DVD on one side is a DVD, and then you have to flip it over, and the other side is apparently a CD, which I thought just had a copy of the movie. I didn't know it was...
only 3 songs?
I bet I don't
And then the rest is the score.
I bet I don't recognize one artist.
Yeah. Dave Grohl.
I take it back.
Yeah. This movie is so old that it has a bunch of white people hanging out listening to grunge in the forest.
Yeah.
That's how old it is.
This movie, I was going to say earlier that the flash, like the way that it like goes back and forth between like present and past, and that just did not work for this movie at all.
And also to put the extra pressure on Jeffrey, like we see him, it implies that he's going to be the lead character and the main narrator, but it's absolutely not. And so, like, having his backstory with the mental hospital is
unnecessary.
A weird choice.
Another red herring.
Really unnecessary.
Yeah. Well, and like as Ronnie was saying earlier, like maybe it was to establish like whether he was a reliable narrator or not.
Sure,
but he wasn't.
But he's not the main narrator.
Yeah, he's not.
If we had something like that for everyone, like a reason to doubt them, that would be interesting.
They don't quite know who's the most solid actor in the cast.
Well, the reason to doubt the Stephen character, the doctor, was that he was terrible. Yes. From the first time his mouth opened,
he was just a terrible person.
An awful character. I hate that actor.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, bad acting. It was bad acting too. Even Jeffrey, who I'm going to call him Burn Notice because I don't know, Jeffrey, whatever. But even he, who is a fine actor now, it was not good acting.
No, it was terrible.
But
I thought he was good.
I didn't have much to work.
Rivaling Mark Wahlberg for being from Boston. And, oh gosh, and I'm just even more mad thinking about like we didn't need the mental hospital scenes. Like if he had been the main character, maybe. But
wait, can we keep talking about Stephen?
No, I'm not done.
I hate that.
The way he was, we'll go back. But the way he was the ensemble, like that makes more sense to have like leak at some point. Like it just gets mentioned or brought up, and they're like, "Wait, what?" Like that should come later in the story.
And especially if they are chipping away at everyone, like they did with the Wiccan girl, by saying like, "Oh, that's not really who her dad is."
Everyone needs something.
Yeah, and like the Wiccan girl and the Goth girl.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't get any of their backstory. So, I mean, barely, aside from, like, the little note that...
She comes from a town that doesn't like Goth people.
By her parents. Yeah.
And Goth is a little bit psychic, which means she should know something is wrong.
Yeah. I feel like she does.
But she doesn't realize that she straight up murdered that girl in the market.
Possibly.
I feel like that's...
I'm still unclear.
We might have to talk about Blair Witch.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Oh, well, you want to talk about Stephen, I know that.
All right, so so the ending of this, when I first saw this movie...
Oh, it's on him, huh?
Just about.
And his chops.
We laughed so hard. Like, even then, we knew he was a terrible actor. I was probably 17 or whatever, but the movie ends with him just looking right at the camera and going, "Fucking witch."
And it's the best line.
Even, like, back then, we were rolling laughing because it was so terrible. I don't know how any actor can sleep at night having delivered that line in that way.
Well, kudos to you, because oftentimes movie endings really decides whether or not you like the movie. So if you didn't like the ending, but you still like the rest of the movie, good for you for looking past that.
Why did Jeffrey Dahmer have all those files about everyone?
He didn't.
But they had them in the end?
No, because
it was interrogation room,
it was the witch messing with things.
So I feel like they're so lazy to just say, "Oh, it's the witch. She's the one who."
No. I actually really liked that scene because it shows how much power the witch has. That she pulled an item from the future that they're going to get later into the past so that they could see it.
Wait, okay.
I thought it was a cool scene.
Wait. Those files were in
I'm bleeding out of my ears right now.
Am I wrong that those files were in the interrogation room at some point?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
No, they were.
Exact same files.
Why were they? Why? Where did they come from?
From the police.
Why would the police have a file?
Because they were building... at the same time that he hands them the file, he says, "We've been looking into you."
I think we're going to have a fundamental difference in opinions. Lauren, where do you think those files came from?
I don't even know, because I forgot to think about the files. Because my brain... I feel like I'm being affected by the Blair Witch.
This is the 10th time I've seen this movie, so I was paying attention to where the files came from.
Okay, so they were in the future, which means craziness. Okay.
So you think the cops made the dossiers on these people, and the Blair Witch took them back to the past and put them in
just
Burn Notice's place.
How long have they been in custody then? Because that takes some time to get print photos from people.
This is really crazy.
No, this is so. It started the day that Sheriff Craven talked to Jeffrey. He told him to stay in town, and immediately he started looking into all these people because he's a good sheriff.
Okay, if this is true, I might change my opinion in this movie, but I want to know what you guys...
That's the case.
Bobby and Laura, where do you think that the dossiers came from?
I think Ronnie's logic, as far as the movie's logic, makes sense. So I will agree with Ronnie on his reasoning, but not on his enthusiasm.
I have no idea, and I think that if you say
this movie's just too intellectual.
Did everything, and
it's possible. It's just over.
And it was a witch who's conniving and like this omniscient presence. I would say that you need to redo your movie because this is a stinking pile of shit.
Now, I'm going to go on record and say I think that she somehow planted the dossiers there. They're not from the future. They're just...
She made up a dossier.
Yeah,
on her
which is also
Microsoft
like bonkers. How was she doing this? She went down to Staples, bought the folder. How did she do this?
Well, she possesses people and has them buy stationery and office products for her.
That's true.
And that, I don't know if we're ready for this, but I want to come to...
We're probably not.
What everyone thinks about what really happened. Are we ready for this, or do you want to keep... All right.
So, you
I feel like I've discussed it already.
Okay. Well, and so I feel like there are three options, and tell me if I'm wrong.
I had two.
Okay. So we see everyone living out what they believe is reality, and then later we see all this video footage that happens to conveniently be available, because Jeffrey Dahmer is crazy paranoid, and there is every camera angle coverage in his home.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
And also he's doing this on... He's not doing it digitally. It's all
video.
On Super 8 or video or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
So he must have tons of tapes, but whatever.
That's why he has to take time to redigitize the footage in the movie.
Digitize the footage.
The poor cops have to sift through all of the porn and like stalking stuff he has in his collection to find the stuff pertinent to this case. But okay, so, and then later we see this footage which has what makes it look like they are actually actively murdering people. Do we think that Blair Witch was able...
No, I'm counting.
We can just call her Blair.
Okay, was Blair... and Tootie, as her friend, was Blair able to...
By the way, listen to things like Old Times, our mini-sodes, where we did Facts of Life. Go on.
Was the Blair able to manipulate the video footage so that anyone else looking at it would see them murdering people?
So in other words, they are actually innocent, never killed these people.
Never killed anyone. Did she really possess them and they did murder all these people and the video footage is accurate? Or... is everything a dream world and none of it ever actually happened? It's all just a fever dream in crazy Jeffrey Dahmer's head.
Now, moreover, if it's the first one, that means the Blair Witch killed these people too. So not only is she manipulating the videotape, but she's killing them too. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
Discuss.
I think implicitly.
I feel like number 2 was the clear option. It was...
That's funny, because when I think of this movie, I think number 2 as well.
I see what you did there, you son of a bitch. No, so I feel like the witch... possessed them all that evening and made them commit the murders, and then spent the rest of the movie fucking with them.
Okay.
Whether or not that makes for a wonderfully written story is beside the point. That's what I believe happens.
I'm going to agree with that because I think it would be way out of her powers to manipulate video.
Because she's an old school witch. She's like from the 1700s.
Yeah.
And you know how
I do feel like...
Although she's putting dossiers together. So
yes. She... made them murder in the beginning, and then the rest of the movie, we see what actually happened.
Yeah.
Oh.
But the witch is just fucking with, like, the videos and stuff.
Oh. So
she had to do some fucking with videos for them to be watching.
No, because there's no way a real person would look straight at the camera and say, fucking witch.
Unless you were possessed by a witch.
No, the witch made that.
Agree to disagree.
Okay,
given that, I'm not even saying that you're wrong, but given the character's actions and what they've said throughout this movie, that yes, he would absolutely look at a character, pause for a moment, and go, fucking witch.
So when you see the original time that scene happens, is what actually happens. She goes up the stairs, is mocking them, and then kills herself. Or no, I guess he kills her. So he is guilty of murder. He's going to jail, but everybody else is fine.
Except the video footage doesn't bear that out.
Right, but the video footage is changed to fuck with them.
Okay, so you think everything after the initial murders in the forest of the rival tour, the murder of the girl in the market, the murder of Tristan, was all the way we first watched it, and then they just messed with the videotape to make it...
I feel like we see everything that happens in the movie, like as it happens. Every time we're watching a videotape, that's when things are weird. And so we're like watching over the shoulder of the characters throughout the movie, and then we see what they see when they watch the film.
So she did not actually kill the goth girl did not kill the clerk.
She is dead. I don't know. Maybe that one
the witch killed the clerk.
I might give you that one in that it possessed her and made her do it because it did turn out the girl was murdered. But we were left with only the information that the girl had, that we didn't know that she did it.
Since we don't know anything about the motivations of Blair, I think it's safe to say that we could put any of those together, string it along, and just make a movie. Because we could make our own movie.
What if Blair...
We could have our own motivations.
Let's gather up $16,000 and we'll make our own movie.
What if Blair is the one who's created the reenactment?
Oh my gosh! She got together $60 million.
Okay, so I'm sorry, we didn't finish the going around. Which one do you think happens?
Think that they were all possessed by the witch. Number 2. That's my...
And the video was unaltered.
Yeah.
Bobby?
I'm gonna take a stance that no one's taken so far and say I don't fucking care. But I think if I had to take a stance, I'd go with Lauren and say that what we were saying was bullshit, and she was fucking with their heads, and they were actually killing people all the time.
That's number 2.
That's number 2? That's not number 1?
No, not exactly.
Oh, that's number 2? Yeah, okay. I'm going with the popular.
I came up with number 2.5.
I thought number 1 was...
Number 1 was Blair messed with the video footage. That what we saw.
Oh, yeah, no.
But
I would go
number 2. She obviously did something to the initial video footage of them killing the people at cemetery, graveyard rock, whatever the hell it was called.
Coffin Rock.
Because it got on, not necessarily manipulating what happened, but manipulating the video itself to hide things and make it so you had to watch it backwards to watch it. So she does have some video manipulation ability.
You also had to do the keystrokes backwards.
Why?
Because all video is absurd. If you've ever used a video editing software, you know that you never touch the mouse. Everything is down on the keyboard. So it makes perfect sense.
I, for myself, personally feel like that from the movie's point of view, 2 is probably correct. I still want to make strong argument for 3, though. I think that's the one I want to believe.
Whose head
do you know what we're doing
Craven's?
Right now?
It
You know
would
what
tie
this
in the
is?
beginning.
Legitimizing this film?
This is us giving this way more thought than whoever wrote this movie.
I feel like this is what happens with most authors in books, or classes I've been in.
What's that?
I hate Hemingway. That's what I'm saying.
That's fair.
I've taken courses and wanted to burn the whole place down.
I think, like, how this gets written is, someone calls the screenwriter and says, your script is due in an hour, and he covers his eyes, slams his hand into the keyboard, and then hits print.
Actually, he fell asleep at his chair. When he woke up, it was done. Because the Blair Witch.
Oh my god.
Because the Blair Witch.
The Blair Witch wrote this movie just to torment Bobby.
This is oh my gosh. And that means the first movie is real, like everyone thought. The second movie is manufactured by the Blair Witch.
Throughout my life, this movie has brought me maybe 4 hours of enjoyment. But it will bring it has brought Bobby a lifetime of misery.
That makes it all worth it.
Wait, you saw it 10 times and you got 4 hours of enjoyment?
I watch things and fast forward frequently.
Oh, that's fair. You just fast forward to the best parts.
Well, this movie would make a lot more sense that way.
You watch this movie like you watch porn?
Yes.
No, he found a video hidden in a cupboard afterwards of him watching the movie, but only 4 hours had elapsed.
All right. Any other big points anyone want to make?
Okay, as an aside, nothing to do with the movie, but I remember being blown away that Jeff had flat screen monitors when I first saw this movie. I was like, this guy's the fucking best house ever, man. He lives in this huge warehouse, and he's got flat screens and a million TVs.
And that's why you love the movie.
That was great.
Like, one day that'll be me. You're halfway there. You've got flat screens. All right, let's change things up a little bit. We usually have Bobby and Laura discuss gender politics.
I got the eye of the tiger.
Susan B. Anthony was on the dollar coin for a reason.
Stop objectifying me.
Gloria Steinem.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Equal rights amendment was never ratified.
Rosie the Riveter.
Oh my god, Bobby, shut up.
Rosie the Robot.
Who's gonna make me my sandwich?
My body, my choice.
Blatant. Susan B. Anthony was taken off the dollar for a reason.
Beyonce.
But I think we should do Ronnie and Laura discuss gender politics, the movie we just watched. So go to it, guys.
All right, Ronnie, what do you think?
Well,
do you think women are portrayed well in this movie?
I would like to point out one thing that I wrote down based on your commentary during the movie. You were all upset that Stephen, the doctor, was so much older than his wife.
I didn't say that. I said he looks like he's a lot older than she is.
Okay. Because in reality, they're only 3 years apart.
Well, I'm sorry that he aged terribly.
And I'm sorry that you are so mean to men.
So he's a bad actor and he looks old.
God, I don't even
gender
know. I don't even know where to start.
I don't think there was gender politics in
this
movie.
Women are portrayed terribly in this movie. They're so stereotyped. Like, I can't even, like, you have the one who's straight-laced. Of course, she's pregnant. And then you have the Wiccan who's then, like, is naked because, you know, she's supposed to be, like, close to Earth and one and whatever. And then you have the goth one who... I mean, I don't know. It's just every single female has a type.
You've just described bad characters and not bad
but
females.
They're played by women, though. Because, I mean, if you were to take Jeffrey's character and Steven's character, I mean, they're pretty...
Played by men.
But there's not, like, a stereotype to them as much as there are to the 3 women in this movie.
I don't know. I feel like... I mean, if the doctor's wife, Tristan, is like the matriarch, the motherly character. I feel like he is the Stephen, the doctor, is the doctorly character. He's
the doctorly character.
I mean, I'm saying all of the characters are a stereotype. I don't feel like there was any gender bias in this movie. I will give you that they may not be well done characters, but at no point was the feminism hairs on my back prickling. That's where I keep my feminism hairs.
They burst out of his shirt when that happens.
Just like feminist hair in the back. Am I right, guys? Seriously. Am I right? God. They're so gross. Any other?
Yeah, I
did not detect any negative lady. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, other lady, but yes.
Fucking witch.
That's one thing I will give this movie.
I mean, also, Bobby just brought up a really good point. So you have this witch, Blair Witch, who's female, and she
is
crazy, I guess.
We never see her. You don't know
but it's called the Blair Witch Project, so clearly...
It's not the Blair Warlock Project.
That's true. All right, I'll give you that.
So she's supposed to be this crazy female? I mean... What the hell?
I feel like you're just grasping at straws at this point.
No, I don't think so. I think I'm making a solid point.
Also, the second movie takes place in increments of 28 days after the other one, so I think it was just that time of the month. Normally, she's actually pretty laid back.
It's true. If you catch her those other 3 weeks.
Yeah. Okay, guys, let's talk about the movie we wish we'd seen.
Ugh, this movie is crap. I could write a better movie in my sleep.
And now, IDoBM presents the movie we wish we'd seen.
Now, Ronnie, you enjoyed this movie.
I did.
But if you were to take an aspect of this movie, like a character who should get his or her own movie, a sequel, a prequel, we've already saw sort of the prequel, but, you know, any aspect of it where it gets its own movie.
I feel like there was a glimmer of hope in this movie, and I would like to see it executed well. I mean, I can admit that this movie is not... Like, it has a lot of flaws to it, but I enjoy watching it.
But executed? Do you mean, like, brought around back and shot in the head?
I mean, give it to a better director and maybe have a different writer on board.
So you like it, you would just like to see it be even better. Like,
I would like to see... I mean,
better acting.
I would like to see the movie done to where apparently I'm not the only one in the world who likes this movie.
Fair enough. How about you, Lauren?
I want to see the version where... it is the fantasy inside crazy Jeffrey's head. And you can even link that into the story. Like, let's say he went into the forest and the witch got into his head and made him crazy. And he murdered all these people. And, like, I want to open on him in the interrogation room. And, like, he lays out the story maybe like we see it, where it's just kind of big and caricatures and like very strange and surreal. And then finally in the end it's revealed like, no, it was all you. You're all like crazy murderous and we're going to throw you back in the mental institute. Like that.
That would have been good. How about you, Bobby?
You're still crazy, boy.
But like we would discover, like he would walk in and he'd be like very well spoken and be like, I know he's been problems for years and just going into the woods broken. Like it would be revealed that the way he was explaining reality was very wrong.
And like his face wouldn't be made of putty anymore.
Exactly.
It would be a completely different actor. All right, Bobby.
My version wouldn't have the sheriff. It would be not just a sequel, but it would be a spiritual sequel to the original. It would be a found footage movie. They would stay in the woods the whole time instead of getting bottled up in a warehouse. And the villain, I don't want to say the villain would be Blair wouldn't be more defined because she wasn't really defined in the first one, but it would be more clear like they're going up against some sort of entity and that entity is scary and not just making them do weird things to each other in a warehouse. So that's what I would do.
Cool.
Yep.
Laura?
I would like to see kind of a cross between Lauren's and Bobby's movie. I don't know. I think it's interesting. I guess I don't know. I think either one of those would be more interesting than what we have. So if they did a found footage movie of just them without any exterior characters, just the people in the woods going to, see the spot and then maybe having a little bit more of a background on Blair and the impetus for her, why, she would be such a terrible, person.
No, it was when she was on her period. That's been discussed.
Yeah. You want to see the Blair Witch. You want to see the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. Or, just have, Jeffrey Donovan be more of an unreliable narrator in the movie. So,
even though he's not technically the narrator.
No. And have him be more of the narrator. Because I think they were kind of going...
Not even the narrators, from his point of view. I feel like is what we're beating.
I think he was set up to be the main
a close
star.
third person to him.
You know what would be fun? Another idea for a different version of this movie?
Oh, good, because I'm doing two, too.
If Jeffrey Donovan... If the movie was about Jeffrey Donovan's struggle to create a reenactment of what had happened afterwards, and he was casting other people into what was happening, what had happened, in the aftermath of going into the woods.
And maybe like filming in the woods, mysterious things start happening during the filming of.
Guys, I think we need to do a Kickstarter and make this movie ourselves.
Blair Witch 2 too.
For mine, there's two. I like the beginning of the movie where it was the documentary thing. I think, which is actually kind of what they did for the first movie, the online,
hype machine.
Yeah, the hype, whatever. Yeah, exactly. Which was brilliant, by the way. It would be kind of like that, only tongue in cheek and funny, like having the old lady who was like, "Oh yeah, people were here. They wanted to buy our rocks, and we didn't want to give up our rocks, but." They offered us the right amount and we were going to ship them, but they're too heavy. Just stuff like that. Like this local color, but have it be silly and absurd. Or I think Craven should get his own cop movie, but the only way he confronts people is by calling them. And when there's a camera crew there and he's like, "Hey, look at me. I'm looking at you," and waving toward the camera. And so I don't know how he'd ever arrest people, but I just think that would be amazing, and I want to see that movie.
Could I just point out that there was an actress that was paid to talk to give a newscast in the foreground while Craven was in the background waving over her shoulder.
What if Craven had been killed by the Blair Witch at one point? And the Blair Witch had called them, and then they watched the news, and the Blair Witch was just holding up his dead body, making him wave.
They more interesting.
There's all these things.
I would like to suggest one more possible scenario for the movie I want to see.
Please.
A Waiting for Guffman-style community theater production of the history of Blair.
That would be
much
amazing.
like Blaine, and
I would like...
That'd be so good.
Take Nothing Ever Happens in Blaine, like fucking crazy shit happens in Blair is how that changes.
I would like to see a version of this movie where we all sit down and we watch it, and at the end you guys come over and hug me and tell me that I have good taste in movies.
Oh, all of these seem equally unlikely.
All right, can we all at least agree on one thing? At the end of the day, this movie was still better than Sucker Punch.
Oh my god, I'm going to beat you up.
I don't know how to make that decision. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's rough.
I can. I'm going to go ahead and make that call right now. I'm sorry, Ronnie. Sucker Punch was technically a better movie. Objectively a better movie.
Sucker Punch was all the way around.
I mean, Sucker Punch is great. Sucker Punch is a really good movie.
The Leah Witch is over here watching us and staring us down.
Normally, I like Sucker Punch, so.
It was shorter, and so
was it shorter?
Yes, it was better.
Oh, that was interesting. Just real quick, I looked this up online before I did it to find out the duration. It was like an hour 40, but when I watched it on Amazon, it was an hour and a half. So I'm really curious about those extra 10 minutes.
Yeah.
The Blair Witch cut them out.
Because hit play in reverse, and then you'll find out what happened.
It says 90 minutes on the DVD, so.
Did keystrokes backwards.
Okay. It was like that with Superman 4, too, where it was like online it said it was like a 2-hour movie, and then it was like an hour and a half.
Thank goodness.
Anyway, so now let's talk about things that need no defense. I'm going to go first. Somebody mentioned that it felt like this was an MTV-produced movie, and I'm actually going to do an MTV-produced movie that was a better movie that involved an entity taking over people and making them do things against their will, and it was called Oculus, about a haunted mirror, and it starred Karen Gillan. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name.
That was correct.
Okay. And it is about a mirror that is, like, wicked and just really cool. I don't want to go into too much detail, but it's a really neat movie.
I would actually say that movie has a lot of similarities to this movie.
Cool.
Although, better done.
Yeah.
But yes, I feel like they're very similar types of movies in that you're kind of left nebulous as to what reality is.
Right, yeah. And check that one out. Bobby.
For the sake of trolling everyone here, I'm going to recommend another found footage movie called Unfriended.
Oh my god, watch it. It's terrible.
But more sincerely, I watched 2 movies that I really liked in the last day.
I know.
Leah, do you want to weigh in on Unfriended?
Jesse actually thought that Unfriended was an okay movie.
I thought it was decent.
I actually liked Unfriended.
We cannot disagree with you guys.
Spoiler alert.
Unfriended was terrible.
Alright, well, now we know our next movie.
No, we already did it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, how did I miss that one?
You're not the super fan you claim to be, I guess.
Awkward.
I'm still the only one that's liked you on iTunes.
And thank you.
Now I'm sad. We can just stop this. No, I watched 2 movies in the last day that I really liked. One of them, I got to go to a screening of a documentary called For the Love of Spock. That's about Leonard Nimoy's life and career, and it was really good, really touching.
Does it include footage of him singing the Bilbo Baggins song?
It does. Actually.
Yes!
It's pretty great. And then I also watched the Peanuts movie that I missed in theaters, and I quite liked the Peanuts movie. I thought it was really nice.
That looked like it hurt my soul, but I was like, I feel like that's going to be an actually good movie.
It was good. It was very spiritually the Peanuts, and I liked that.
I was real skeptical in the trailer hearing like contemporary music, like no 60s jazz.
It does have a contemporary music,
but then listening to Paul Feig talk about it in an interview was like, oh no, he sounds right. Like he came from a place of love.
There is awkwardly placed contemporary music in it, though.
No. I said just like with Ghostbusters, but that didn't turn out as great. But okay, Lauren.
Sometimes love is crushing and incorrect.
Why do you hate
No,
women, Sam?
I really wanted it to be so good just from the feminist point because everyone was crapping on. It's like, and it wasn't not great because it had women. It was just not great because it wasn't great.
It wasn't bad. I feel like we have to take a moment.
I kind of actually really liked Ghostbusters.
Really?
Yeah. I sincerely did.
I feel like it'll improve on future viewings. Like I did not like it, and I feel like the more I see it,
it is a loose collection of like comedy scenes, but also Ghostbusters, the original, was a loose collection of comedy scenes. So I actually really liked the remake.
Save it for the podcast, man.
Bobby's segment right now. He's just gonna
I feel like it's so important that we
Let's bring up other Paul Feig movies.
So Bobby's had 3 recommendations, guys.
Okay, I can trump that.
Go for
Donald
it.
Trump.
We never use that word here.
That?
I can conton that. No, that doesn't work either. Well, if we're talking about going into the woods and finding mysterious things, so I just read Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children in preparation of the film coming out, because I like to read the books before the movies to feel like a snoot. Yeah. And the book is really charming. I really enjoyed it. I went in thinking, like, younger skewed young adult, but it is definitely older skewed young adult. Like there's a joke about your mom blowing a trucker.
Right on.
Wait, my mom?
Yeah.
Specifically, Sam's mom.
That's not cool.
But really charming, and I really liked it.
How about you? Who did I did Bobby? Laura. What would you like to
I have also read a book. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm almost done. Actually, a former teacher who teaches at Cal State Long Beach, Tyler Diltz. I think most everyone
Does he not teach there anymore?
No, he does. No, I meant like former from
Gotcha.
me. He has a new book out. He has a series that it features a detective named Danny Beckett, and just like a fun. They're not. I mean, it's very well written, and they're like I wouldn't call it like a crime drama, kind of. I mean, it's like a police procedural kind of book. You know, there's a murder that happens, and it's kind of about his life. But anyway, I just read his latest book.
I mean, you realize he's not still grading you, right?
I didn't actually have him. I just knew him because he was in the creative writing department.
And delightfully, aren't they all local to Long
Yeah,
Beach,
and they're all local in Long Beach. Yeah,
Very
It's extra good.
How many times has he mentioned Enrique's in this one?
None. Or actually
Really?
one, because
Okay.
it's Lola's. I don't know if you guys ever
Yes.
been there, but is it good?
Yes.
He mentions that.
Oh,
They have awesome, not mojitos. What's the wine with all the fruit in it?
Sangria.
Sangria.
Let's go to those after this, guys.
Oh,
He doesn't talk about something by Holy Moly on 4th, because that's the best.
I haven't read that one, but I can totally vouch for the first three. They're
Yeah,
good
so
books.
anyway,
Yeah.
the last one's good.
Never read a book in my goddamn life.
And you're proud of it.
What a surprise.
So, apart from Blair Witch 2, is anything you'd like to recommend, Ronnie?
No, I'm not the guy to ask about this. I have vague memories of movies I've seen, so I'd have to be like shouting at Leah, like, "Hey, Leah, what was that movie with the guy? Remember the guy with the mustache? Oh, that was a good one."
Just felt that way.
The Burt Reynolds,
All right, Leah, what was that movie we saw?
2.5 Men. No, I mean
The last scary movie we saw.
Cop and a Half is what I.
With the Annie with the little doll.
Annabelle.
Yeah, the Annabelle, the sequel.
Conjuring 2.
Oh yeah, okay.
Is that good?
Ask me again, Sam.
Someone had a mustache?
So, Ronnie, what is anything you'd like to recommend?
Oh, I'm the worst guy to ask about this because I'm going to have to shout to Leah and be like, "Hey, Leah, like, what was that movie?" I saw The Conjuring 2 vaguely recently, and it was a fun movie. It was good.
Conjuring was really scary.
The Conjuring, it was no Conjuring 2, but it was a good movie. It was no Conjuring 1, but it was a good movie.
The one quarter of the screen I watched during Conjuring 1 looked really scary. I'm glad I didn't watch that whole movie.
Wait,
Just
what?
the corner I was watching through my jacket and hands.
How do you decide which corner is the right
sexy
corner?
face?
You're pretty safe if you go for like top part of the screen. So very often, like I have that option to go and cover everything if I.
You realize it's a
too
movie,
scary.
right?
It's too scary.
Do you also get that, like, your eyes have covers built into them?
They're too slow. Like eyelids aren't going to stop.
I'm gonna say they're faster than your hands,
I
right?
agree.
Eyelids aren't going to stop monsters.
Yeah.
Hands stop monsters.
No, they're definitely moving faster.
No. And I need the warmth on my face to make me feel safe.
What do you do when you watch the Don't Blink Doctor Who ones? Because if you cover your eyes, that's how the weeping angels are going to get you.
Say that's TV. TV's not going to kill me.
So she brings out the duct tape, tapes her eyes open.
I forgot to mention that Tyler Dilt's new book is called Come Twilight.
I'm going to recommend Tyler Diltz too because he's a nice guy.
He is a really
He's a
nice
great
guy.
guy.
I really
So-
highly recommend him.
He sounds like a jerk. He's like forcing my friend to read all of his books, and he's not even her
Buffy
teacher.
Fan. He likes good theater.
He seems to
Okay.
watch every TV show and movie and still have time to write books, so I hate him. Okay, now let's do some plugs. I'm going to say, guys, be like Ronnie. Go on iTunes and rate us and review us. Because that's
I even got a call out in an episode, and I felt bad because you didn't know it was me.
I guarantee you that if you rate us and review us on iTunes, I will mention you in an episode, guarantee limited to like 10 people, because we're never going to get that many, so I might as well
No,
guarantee
then
it.
limit it higher, like 50 people.
Yeah, say like no, about 1 million people.
Yeah, okay.
We will have a 7-hour episode of me reading names.
Sure. And then when you come on, you will have beaten Jesse as the most guested.
Right on.
That's the word, right? And then also, when's our next show? Our next upperclassmen show is October 16th. It is a battle show with another group, and that'll be lots of fun. And also, if you go to our YouTube, you can watch clips. And we have that short film that I think I've talked about before. It's a Western. It's funny. And I don't know if it's up there now, but it should be up there eventually. So if it's not, keep checking and watch other stuff that's up there. They're funny.
Sam was one of the funniest parts of the short film.
Thank you.
I must say. And that's not just because he's my husband.
I didn't care for him, so
Yeah, no,
but otherwise it was good.
I would like to see that movie redone, but without his character in it.
That's fair.
there'll just be a walkie-talkie instead of Sam.
But they'll eventually put back in the gun instead of me. Anyone else have anything to plug?
Visit our website, IDoBMpodcast.com, and on Twitter at IDoBMpodcast.
You can come find me on Facebook or Instagram. On Instagram a lot. So
You sound really confident in that.
Who are you?
there.
Who are you?
I guess you could come and say, you'll be disappointed, but Elking15.
I like that it slightly rhymes.
If you go on YouTube,
Not racist.
I do with the other frequent guest Jesse. We do we play bad horror games with a bulldog. The bulldog is in the title because, as you've probably heard throughout the podcast, you can't silence him. So.
Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah,
Those are very fun.
Silence the smells.
So yeah, look up horror games with a bulldog.
and every one of us has been on one, at least one.
That's very exciting.
That's right.
You guys caught me screaming pretty embarrassingly. One of them. So.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to recommend one more thing. It's never going to happen again, but you should totally watch Lauren play Resident Evil 7, the teaser that they did,
shouldn't.
because it was hilarious.
No, that's not a good idea at all.
I heard about that.
But aren't you in a performance of something right now, Lauren?
Yes, that's what I was pointing. It's like, oh, I want you before you close it up. I am also at the same theater that the upperclassmen performed, the Long Beach Playhouse. I'm in an all-female production
Of the Resident Evil game?
And then after that, I'm also in The Importance of Being Earnest, Oscar Wilde's greatest masterpiece, classically funny, hilarious play. As funny as the way I said that word for some reason. And
It's funny. The play's funnier than your reading of that word.
Exactly.
I liked your reading of it.
I thought it was
That's pretty funny.
The play is funnier than that, though.
Yeah.
And we're running through October 1st, and you can get tickets on lbplayhouse.org.
Which is where you can get tickets to the Upperclassmen show. I forgot to mention that, sorry, to horn in on your plug.
No, that's why I'm guiding everyone back to that Playhouse. Everything happens there.
Yes.
All right, well, great show, everybody. Let's go watch the movie again.
No!
I mean, totally serious. Are we going to do final verdicts on the show?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I forgot to do that.
Perfectly evident.
I'm not good at remembering to do things. So let's go around the horn. Ronnie, you still like the movie, right?
I was afraid that I was going to rewatch it and be like, oh, God, I got to talk about this movie. No, I still enjoy it. I think it's a fine movie. 4 out of 5 stars.
Lauren?
It could not have ended fast enough for me.
Laura?
0 out of 5 stars.
You can't do that.
Yeah, I'm not going to give them any stars because the movie is crap.
Well, then they'll just think they'll just assume you like it.
Okay, 0.5 out of 5
You can't do that on Netflix either. God, Laura, have you ever used Netflix?
Laura, on a scale of 10 to 11, what would you rate this movie?
Negative 0.
I'm sorry.
Negative 0.
Those are
the most incorrect answer you could have possibly come up with.
How about you, Bobby?
I wanted to do a final verdict because, I was going to say, an interesting conceit. We should have ended on -0. But an interesting conceit of our podcast is that because one of us likes one of these movies, they're usually bad in a not very entertaining way. They're usually very boring. And Book of Shadows is one of the few movies we've done that I thought went so far around that it was so bad that I kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah!
So I would say
You'll take it?
it's a bad movie and I didn't like it, but it's so bad that it wraps around.
On the way over here, Bobby goes, I think this is one of the worst movies we've ever done.
No, I didn't say one of the worst. It's absolutely the worst movie we've done.
Okay?
There's no joke.
You guys have done romantic comedies.
Yeah, and he thinks this is worse than...
And I said, I think maybe only Batman and Robin is the only other one that wraps all the way back around to watchable
It's a
again.
good thing.
No, that movie is not watchable. It does not. It hits like the very edge of being almost good enough, but no.
And for my verdict, I liked Batman and Robin quite a bit. No, but I did not like Book of Shadows 2. I would like to read the book, though. That does not exist.
The novelization of the film? Is that
the Book of Shadows?
This book is a reenactment of the movie, which is a reenactment of the actual events.
But seriously, I want to see all the movies everyone suggested, because they sound fun. Any other last words before we wrap it up?
Do we want to do plugs again?
Let's go watch the movie again, guys.
All right. Well, thank you for listening, everyone. And we'll see you later. Bye.
Good night.
Good night. Or good morning. I'm not going to judge if you're listening to this on your morning commute. That's fine.
Good afternoon, even.
It's night for us, and we
It's
trump
night.
everything. Our reality is the important one.
Trump 2016.
Oh, damn it.